which I am curious to know if David has done anything since his father's death. I mean, I really am curious to know, like, has he said anything? He probably didn't lose any sleep that night. I mean, he literally had private investigators. They misinterpreted the cell phone falling out of his pocket, and it looked like he was having a heart attack because he grabbed his chest. And they told hey, headquarters, hey, David, listen, your dad's dying of a heart attack. And he tells them, as they're said in the private, when the investigators are listening and recording what's said, he said, let him die. Like, don't help him.
If it's his time, it's his time. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. A malignant narcissist. There is only one thing that is important to a sociopath or a malignant narcissist, and that's themselves. And that is David Miscavige. He is, I read this amazing book, Derek, that I recommend to everybody to read who's ever been in contact with someone like Miscavige, and it's called The Sociopath Next Door by Martha Stout. She is a Harvard professor, and it changed my view in that I realized this is an actual type of person that exists on Earth, and there is more than one of them. And I didn't happen to run into the only person like David Miscavige. David Miscavige is a personality type that has certain characteristics that they share, which are very hard for people with a conscience to understand. And that's a lot about what the book is about. Like, generally, people are relatively honest and they feel bad if they do something bad or hurt someone or whatever, to varying degrees. But the regular guy on the street has some sense of the rightness of things. And so when they see a sociopath or they deal with a sociopath or a malignant narcissist, they attribute their own perspective to that of the narcissist or the sociopath. So they see a sociopath doing some terrible thing and they try and figure out how to explain it, and looking at it through their eyes. And so it is very difficult for them to come to the conclusion that, no, this guy is just evil. This person is just an evil person. You got to get yourself away from them. They're going to destroy you without a second thought. They're going to pluck the wings off flies and do all sorts of horrible things, and just for the sheer pleasure of it. And you will be the victim of that. And I sort of had this wake up of, oh my God, that is exactly what I was dealing with all that time. And wow. Boy, the only salvation that I have is I got away. I escaped. I left that world. I left the world and orbit of David Miscavige. So I was no longer being abused. And that's not just me.